To the world, he was Caine, the serene martial arts master from Kung Fu, and Bill, the charismatic assassin from Kill Bill. David Carradine was a Hollywood legend who seemed to embody control and power. But in a Bangkok hotel room in June 2009, he was found in a scene so bizarre it defied all explanation. A hotel maid discovered the 72-year-old actor's body naked and hanging in a closet. The official report would eventually call it a tragic private accident. But his family, his ex-wives, and the disturbing evidence left behind all point to something far more sinister: murder. Thai police first suspected suicide, but later admitted the death might have been accidental. So what really happened to David Carradine? Before the shocking headlines and whispered theories, David Carradine was a counterculture icon. Born into Hollywood royalty as the son of legendary actor John Carradine, he was destined for the screen but carved a path entirely his own. In 1972, he became a household name, though not always by his own name. He was Caine in the hit TV series Kung Fu. The show, which followed a Shaolin monk wandering the American West, was a cultural phenomenon. It introduced millions to martial arts and Eastern philosophy, and Carradine, with his quiet intensity, became its face. The role earned him Emmy and Golden Globe nominations and cemented his status as a very unlikely star. After Kung Fu, Carradine worked with acclaimed directors like Martin Scorsese and Ingmar Bergman, but his career was a mix of A-list projects and B-movie grit. For years, he was a prolific character actor, but true stardom seemed to be a thing of the past. Then Quentin Tarantino called. In 2003, Carradine was reintroduced to a new generation as the titular villain in Kill Bill. His portrayal of Bill, the smooth-talking, deadly leader of an assassination squad, was a masterclass in cool menace. It earned him another Golden Globe nomination and was hailed as a major comeback. He was more than an actor. He was an artist, a musician, and a martial arts practitioner. This complex persona, the peaceful warrior, the articulate killer, the Hollywood survivor, is exactly what made the circumstances of his death so confounding. In late May 2009, David Carradine arrived in Bangkok, Thailand, to begin work on a film titled Stretch. By all accounts, he was in great spirits. His manager described him as full of life and eager to work. Associates said he was in a happy marriage, had recently bought a new car, and had a slate of other films lined up, which made the idea of suicide seem highly improbable. He checked into the luxurious Swiss Hotel Nylert Park Hotel on May 31st. Over the next few days, hotel staff saw him in the lobby and even playing the piano. The timeline of his final hours starts on the evening of June 3rd. Carradine was supposed to have dinner with the film's director and crew, but when they tried to reach him, he didn't answer his phone. Thinking he'd simply gone to sleep, the group went to dinner without him. That was one of the last known times anyone had contact with him. The following morning, on June 4th, a crew member was sent to get him for the day's shoot. When he didn't respond, a hotel chambermaid entered Suite 352 around 11:30 a.m. What she found would spark a global media firestorm. The discovery was so shocking that hotel management allegedly ordered all employees not to speak to the press. But the story of what was found in that room couldn't be contained. The scene that greeted the hotel maid was like something out of a macabre novel. Inside a closet, David Carradine was found deceased. He was completely naked, He wasn't hanging in the typical sense. His body was in a seated or squatting position. A cord, later identified as being from the hotel room's curtains, was tied around his neck. But the ligature was far more complex than a simple noose. Another cord was wrapped around his genitals, and both were connected and tied to a clothes rail above him. Some reports, stemming from a graphic leaked crime scene photo, suggested his hands were bound above his head. Thai police were called to the scene. Their initial assessment was swift. They saw no signs of a struggle. The room wasn't ransacked, no valuables were missing, and according to them, the door was locked from the inside. Police also stated that hotel surveillance footage showed no one else had entered Carradine's room after he did, though this footage was never independently verified. Based on this, investigators quickly ruled out a robbery or assault. At first, they publicly speculated it was suicide, but the bizarre nature of the scene, combined with the lack of a suicide note, soon led them down a different path. A Thai forensics team concluded that Carradine died from asphyxiation, and the manner of death was ruled accidental, the result of a dangerous solo sexual practice gone horribly wrong. The official explanation for David Carradine's death centered on a practice known as autoerotic asphyxiation. This is a high-risk activity where an individual intentionally restricts oxygen to the brain to heighten sexual arousal. Thai authorities and some forensic experts believed the elaborate setup of ropes and ligatures was Carradine's own doing. A prominent Thai forensic expert noted that while the scene could suggest murder, it was also consistent with a victim getting tangled while performing the act alone. The theory was that he lost consciousness faster than he expected and couldn't free himself, leading to his accidental death. This conclusion was bolstered by several factors. First, the police investigation claimed to find no evidence of foul play. The locked room and their report on the CCTV footage seemed to confirm he was alone. Second, stories from Carradine's past emerged. His ex-wife, Gail Jensen, spoke about his interest in bondage, claiming he used it for meditation to relieve pressure, though she insisted he was never into the asphyxiation part of it. Another ex-wife, Marina Anderson, would later detail his deviant sexual behavior in court filings. The official narrative painted a picture of a man with a secret, dangerous private life that ultimately led to a tragic and undignified end. For the Thai authorities, the case was straightforward, a private act with a fatal outcome. The Carradine family, however, refused to accept the official explanation. Almost immediately, they voiced their suspicions, believing David had been murdered. His brother, Keith Carradine, hired prominent attorney Mark Geragos, who publicly stated that the family wanted the FBI to step in and assist with the investigation in Bangkok. They were troubled by conflicting reports and believed the conclusion of accidental death was reached far too quickly. Carradine's former wife, Marina Anderson, was one of the most vocal critics, stating that her ex-husband never flew solo in his sexual practices and that she was convinced he was murdered. To get their own answers, the family hired Dr. Michael Baden, a famed forensic pathologist, to conduct a second independent autopsy. After his examination, Dr. Baden made a critical statement. He could rule out suicide. While he confirmed the cause of death was asphyxiation, he stated he could not determine if it was an accident or a homicide until he received more information from Thai authorities. The family's legal team questioned how Carradine could have tied himself up in such a complex manner, especially with his hands reportedly bound above his head. This detail, more than any other, fueled the belief that someone else had to have been in the room. Theories began to swirl, with Garagos even mentioning the possibility of involvement by Kung Fu secret societies, a sensational claim that, while unsubstantiated, highlighted the family's deep distrust of the official story. Before we dig into the lingering questions and flaws in the investigation, the core of this mystery presents two starkly different scenarios. Was this a personal tragedy, or was it a cleverly disguised murder? What does your gut tell you? Let us know your theory in the comments below. And if you find yourself captivated by unsolved mysteries, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation. Years later, the case remains clouded by doubt. The biggest question is the one raised by the family's pathologist. Could David Carradine have physically tied himself up in such a complex way? The specific binding of his hands, as suggested in some reports, seems to many to be the work of a second person. Critics of the official investigation also point to the rapid conclusion reached by Thai police and the subsequent leak of graphic crime scene photos to a local newspaper, which the family felt was both unprofessional and deeply disrespectful. Carradine's widow, Annie Bierman, later filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the film's production company. She claimed they were negligent for leaving him alone on the night he died. Though the company denied responsibility, the suit was eventually settled out of court. In the end, two narratives remain, forever clashing. The first is the official story. A Hollywood star, alone in his hotel room, died in a tragic accident during a dangerous sexual ritual. This version is supported by the police's assertion that there was no forced entry or struggle, and by their account of the security footage. The second is the story his family holds on to, that David Carradine was murdered. This theory is fueled by the seemingly impossible knots, his cheerful disposition before his death, and a fundamental belief that he was not alone that night. Dr. Baden's independent autopsy confirmed death by asphyxiation but could not definitively rule out homicide. With no confession, no definitive forensic proof of another person in the room, and conflicting expert opinions, the mystery endures. The death of David Carradine remains one of Hollywood's most bizarre and unsettling final acts. A story where the disturbing truth may have been lost forever in a locked hotel room in Bangkok. We are left not with answers, but with the haunting legacy of a man known for his on-screen control who lost his life in a scene of unimaginable chaos.